Redrafting is a ton of fun, and if you guys have been subscribed to the channel for a while, you probably know that I love to make these type of videos because I've made multiple of them on the channel before. So I figured, why not make another one that I haven't done yet? Today we're going to be redrafting the top 15 from the 2017 NHL Draft. I usually like to do the entire first round, but since this is still a pretty recent draft and a lot of these guys have actually not played a lot in the NHL just yet, I figured it would be fair just to keep it at the top 15, and make sure to let me know down in the comment section below any other drafts you guys want me to do a redraft on in future videos. And this definitely was an extremely interesting draft, so this should be a good one. And with all that said, let's get right into the video. Before we begin to change everything up, I figured we should take a look at what the original top 15 of the 2017 draft was. Nico Hischier went number 1, then it was Nolan Patrick, Miro Heiskanen, Kale Makar, Elias Patterson, Cody Glass, Lias Andersson, Casey Mittelstadt, Michael Rasmussen, Owen Tippett, Gabriel Velarde, Martin Necas, Nick Suzuki, Cale Foote, and Erik Brannstrom. And for this one, unlike previous redrafts that I've done, it is heavily going to be based off of potential because a lot of these guys are still super young and have a lot of untapped potential, but I obviously still will take into account the success that some of these guys have had at the NHL level already. So with that said, let's get right into my redraft, beginning with Vegas at pick number 15. With the 15th overall pick, I have the Vegas Golden Knights selecting forward Drake Batherson, who was actually originally selected in the 4th round, 121st overall by Ottawa, so a pretty massive jump here for him. I'm a massive fan of Drake Batherson, and I think he has all the potential in the world to become a very, very good top 6 forward in the NHL. He played 23 games for Ottawa this season and had 10 points, but his American Hockey League numbers were unreal. 54 points in 44 games. The dude's 21 years old. Next season, he definitely should be a full-time member of the Senators and hopefully be in for a big year. Next up, with the 14th overall pick, I have the Tampa Bay Lightning selecting defenseman Henri Jokiharju, who was originally selected 29th overall by Chicago and later traded to Buffalo for Alex Nylander. And while Jokiharju didn't have an amazing season with Buffalo, 15 points in 69 games, there is still a ton of upside here. He's 20 years old and he had 71 points in the 2017-2018 season with the Portland Winterhawks. Sure, Jokiharju may never become an elite top 2 defenseman, but if he continues to round out his overall game and maximizes that offensive potential, he'll definitely become a mainstay in Buffalo's top 4. Moving on now, with the 13th overall pick, I have the Vegas Golden Knights selecting Erik Brannstrom, who they actually selected in real life with their 15th overall pick and later traded him to Ottawa in the Mark Stone trade. And while Brannstrom didn't really have the rookie season that everybody expected with just 4 points in 31 games, he did play amazing in the American Hockey League with 23 points in 27 games. And the amount of potential that Brannstrom has, I honestly couldn't put him any lower than number 13. Brannstrom really has all the tools to become one of the NHL's very elite offensive defensemen one day, and hopefully for Ottawa's sake that happens. With the 12th overall pick, I have the Carolina Hurricanes selecting centerman Casey Mittelstadt, who was originally selected 8th overall by Buffalo. Heading into last season, everybody thought Mittelstadt and Pedersen would be neck and neck racing for the Calder Trophy throughout the year, but Mittelstadt kinda had a disappointing rookie season with just 25 points in 77 games. This year in the NHL was much of the same, which ultimately led to him being sent down to the American Hockey League, which was definitely the best for his development, and he did have 25 points in 36 AHL games, so hopefully he gained some confidence down there. Even though he has struggled so far, I am still a massive believer in Casey Mittelstadt. He has a ton of potential, and in a redraft, I think he's definitely still a top 15 pick. 11th overall, this pick might be a little controversial, but I have the Kings selecting Gabriel Velarde in the same spot that they selected him in the actual 2017 draft. Velarde has only played 10 games in the National Hockey League, but he played very well in those 10 games this season, putting up 3 goals and 4 assists for 7 points, and also had 25 points in 32 American Hockey League games. He has had some awful injury luck to start his career, so it was awesome to see him healthy and playing games in the National Hockey League this season. It might just be me, but I think Velarde is going to be a stud. Maybe 11th overall is too high, but hey, hey, I'm a big believer in him. Next up, at 10th overall, I have the Florida Panthers selecting winger Caylor Yamamoto, who was originally selected 22nd overall by the Edmonton Oilers. After being called up this season, Yamamoto played amazing, 11 goals and 15 assists for 26 points in just 27 games. Obviously, it helps that he played with some pretty talented forwards in Edmonton, but still, he definitely carried his weight out there. It'll be pretty interesting to see if he can keep that pace up whenever we see NHL games again, but it's certainly looking like Edmonton has a very good young player on their hands. 9th overall, we have my Detroit Red Wings, and I have them selecting centerman Cody Glass, and let me tell you, if we got Cody Glass, I would be ecstatic. I definitely think they'd go a different route than taking Rasmussen if there was a redraft. I think Cody Glass has the potential to become an elite two-way centerman in the NHL. If I had to compare him to a veteran, I would probably say a guy like Sean Couturier maybe. A centerman who can give you like 65 to 75 points and be very good in his own end as well. He has an extremely high ceiling, and you definitely could make an argument he should be higher in this redraft just based off of his potential alone. With the 8th overall pick, I have the Buffalo Sabres selecting Nolan Patrick, who was selected 2nd in this draft by the Philadelphia Flyers. I couldn't put Patrick any lower than number 8. I know this is based off of potential, but he already has played 145 NHL games and has 61 career points, while some of the other players in this redraft haven't even played a quarter of an NHL season yet. It is honestly a shame he missed this entire season due to injury. It was supposed to be a pretty big year for him. I know Flyers fans especially had high hopes and were hoping for him to have a breakout year. He is still only 21 years old. He was the 2nd overall pick for a reason. I think there is still a ton of upside there. Now it's just a matter of getting healthy, getting back in game shape, and getting ready to play again. Everybody should be rooting for this guy because at that age, missing an entire season has to be tough. Next up, with the 7th overall pick, I have the New York Rangers selecting Robert Thomas. Boy, would they ever love to get a redo on this pick. They originally selected Elias Anderson, and we all know how that turned out. But here I have them getting Robert Thomas, who has had a pretty solid start to his young career with 75 career points in 135 games. He also had 6 points in 21 playoff games en route to St. Louis's 2019 Stanley Cup victory. And I'm not sure if I see Robert Thomas as like a potential number 1 center for the future, but a second line center definitely. Next up, with the 6th overall pick, I have the Vegas Golden Knights selecting Nick Suzuki, who they originally took 13th overall in this draft and eventually traded to Montreal in the Max Pacioretty trade. This season with the Habs was Suzuki's first in the NHL, and I would say it was a pretty impressive rookie campaign. 13 goals, 28 assists for 41 points in 71 games, and it's not like he was playing with superstars. It's not like Montreal had a high-flying offense either. He really had to work for a lot of those points. I think he has an extremely bright future in the NHL and a ton of offensive upside. Montreal fans should be really excited about Suzuki. With the 5th overall pick, I have the Vancouver Canucks selecting centerman Martin Necas, and sure, it isn't Elias Patterson, who they originally got with this draft pick, but he is still a extremely good player. 52 points in 64 American Hockey League games last year, and this season, which was his rookie year in the NHL with the Canes, 36 points in 64 games. I think next year is going to be a really big year for him, an increased role. I could honestly see him becoming like a 30-goal point per game player one day. I really do think he's that good, and I think he'd be a top 5 pick in a redraft. Moving on now, with the 4th overall pick, I have the Avalanche selecting Nico Hischier, who was selected with the 1st overall pick in this draft by the New Jersey Devils. And sure, Nico Hischier hasn't been the superstar that you would want a number 1 overall pick to be, but he is an extremely good player. At the age of just 21, he is already a very solid two-way forward and has shown the ability to put up a good amount of points. It's now just a matter of building a team around him that can actually support him. And he played his junior hockey for the Halifax Mooseheads. I'm always rooting for the Moosehead guys, so I definitely hope in the next couple of years he really has a breakout explosive offensive season. Getting into the top 3 now, with the 3rd pick, I have the Dallas Stars selecting Miro Heiskanen, who they selected in this exact spot in the real 2017 draft. And you honestly could make a case for Heiskanen to be the number 1 overall pick in a redraft of the 2017 draft. I'm not sure how many people would agree with you, but he definitely is that good and is in that conversation for sure. 68 points for Heiskanen in 150 career games. He's obviously a great two-way defenseman already, and I think at his peak, he will definitely win a Norris Trophy in his career. He really is a stud and one of the many great young defensemen in the NHL today. Speaking of great young defensemen, 2nd overall, I have the Flyers selecting Kale Makar, who was originally selected 4th overall by the Avalanche. Makar has been a rookie phenom this season in the NHL. 50 points in 57 games, just unbelievable numbers, and when you watch him play, some of the stuff he does is truly mind-blowing, especially for a 21-year-old defenseman. I know talking about draft steals usually means getting a player in the later rounds, but getting Kale Makar at number 4 was a steal for Colorado. I think he is going to win a couple of Norris trophies throughout his career. And of course, with the first overall pick, I have the New Jersey Devils selecting Elias Patterson, who was originally taken with the 5th overall pick by the Vancouver Canucks, which, like Makar, is also an absolute steal. The Calder Trophy winner from last year already has 132 career points in 139 career games. He is a franchise centerman. I know Heiskanen and Makar are great, but honestly, if I had to guess, I think all 31 teams would probably go with Elias Patterson if they had that number 1 pick in a redraft. Patterson really is a beast, and it's pretty cool to see him proving a lot of people wrong who said he didn't weigh enough to play in the NHL or he was too small back when Vancouver originally drafted him. That is going to do it for today's video. I really hope you guys did enjoy. This was a lot of fun to make, and it was also pretty difficult, especially rankings like 7 through 15. I found them pretty hard to rank. Make sure to let me know down in the comment section below what your top 15 from the 2017 draft would look like, and of course, let me know any other drafts that you want to see me make a video like this on. So with that said, I hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. If you did, please make sure to go down there and drop a like on it, and if you guys are new and you want to see more NHL content like this, make sure to click that subscribe button, and I will see you guys all in the next video.